Jerry Nadler's committee, he's the chairman of your committee, is not necessarily bothered by the censorship of Republicans. Tell me what these bills do and why Jerry Nadler is suddenly worried about the dominance of big tech.
Yeah, I mean, look, we need to start from the basics. Big tech is out to get conservatives. We know that. We know what they've done to the president, the then sitting president of the United States. So we know they're out to get the conservatives. This bill doesn't deal with the censorship that is happening, not just for elected conservatives or people in the media like you, but for, countless number of citizens across this country. I think what these bills do very clearly is they marry up big government with big tech, and I think it's going to make the situation worse. Right now, it's just going to impact 4 companies: Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google. But the definition, I think, will quickly include companies like Walmart, Tesla, and you know how government is. Once they get a handle on, once they get their foot in the door and get a chance to regulate companies, they're just going to want to expand that power. And we know the person who just went in as head of the FTC just this week worked for Jerry Nadler and David Cicilline, the Democrat impeachment managers who were sponsoring this package of legislation. So that's what makes me very nervous. What we need to do is take away their liability protection and break them up. 2 simple things. That's what Republicans are going to focus on doing. We've introduced that first piece of legislation last week as well. So that's where we need to go. But I don't think Democrats want the same objective that you do, your viewers do, and most of America does.
So, one sort of red flag here is Commissioner Becca Slaughter and her tweets. And she tweeted about the need to use antitrust law to address systemic racism. Okay. Connect the dots for me here, Congressman. Systemic racism and antitrust.
No, there is no connection, but Democrats want to use the power of the regulatory state, the power of big government, particularly the Biden administration, to further control the economy and limit speech. I mean, think about this. Do we really believe the same Democrat Party who's introducing these pieces of legislation, that they're the same Democrats who wrote a letter to the big carriers saying, take Fox News and Newsmax and One American News off your platform? Do we really think they care about the censorship of conservatives? So that's the part that gets me. And remember, the sponsors of this legislation are 4 Democrat impeachment managers. They don't have the objectives in mind that you and I do when it comes to big tech. We need to break big tech up. We need to take away their liability protection. That's simple. That's not what this legislation does. And that's why we have to push our alternatives and get those bills enacted into law.
So you want to bring big tech down to size, but you don't agree with these bills being introduced in judiciary. Am I right to say you're going to vote no on these bills?
Yeah, well, there's a package of 6. There's a couple that may be okay. One is a venue bill that says, you can't just shop around the venue where you want to have cases when someone brings an action against one of these big tech companies. But the package as a whole is bad, and most of the legislation in the package, certainly for these bills, very problematic. The empowerment they give to the Federal Trade Commission to run companies, and the one bill has secret committees that aren't subject to any type of transparency that will advise Becca Slaughter and the folks who, and Lena Khan, who's now the FTC chairman, that will advise them. So that is not how government is supposed to operate. I mean, you think about what we also learned just last week. We saw where the IRS was somehow confidential taxpayer information was leaked. We want to give more power to these agencies? Come on.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that in a second, but you just mentioned these secret committees. That is Representative Scanlon's Access Act. Her bill creates technical committees to oversee these companies. In other words, there's going to be a secret committee telling Amazon and Facebook how to operate their businesses. And how come it's just those companies? What are the sort of measures or metrics to identify who's involved? Can Walmart also be, shown how to oversee its business by these secret committees?
Right. The covered businesses they have to meet a certain definition. They have to have an online presence of so many million users per month. They have to have a market cap of $600 billion. So, or sales of that amount of money. So Walmart is really close. Microsoft is close. Tesla's not too far behind that market cap. So I think they're going to be captured pretty soon. But you're right. This bill sets up secret committees for each covered business. So it's not just one secret committee giving advice to the FTC. It's one for Amazon, it's one for Apple, it's one for Facebook, one for Google, soon to be one for Walmart, soon to be one for Microsoft, Tesla. That's how it operates. And so, again, at the sole discretion of the commission, so they can put however many people they want on there, however they want to design this, and we don't get to see. So I don't think that's how we really want to have business operating in our great country.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make so many important points, and this is a very important interview because so far, suddenly, everybody, in Congress is against big tech, and just to launch a bill to give the government more power is not the answer here. You want to remove 230. Will you be able to do you think you're going to win the majority in 2022 and be able to actually move legislation forward?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be able to. I think we're going to win in 2022. And if we do, we will definitely move that legislation forward. But I think the fact that Democrats don't support taking away the liability protection, don't support a simple legislation to break these big tech companies up, that tells you everything. Because that tells you it's not about what needs to be addressed. This is about the Democrats. And remember, Maria, we've already seen where private companies, big tech companies can collude with big government to keep information from the American people, right? We saw it with the emails between Dr. Fauci and Mark Zuckerberg, the emails that are so much of are redacted. So we have seen this before. It's not like this is new. Now they're going to actually give all kinds of power to an agency, not just one doctor who works in an agency, but an entire agency. And we know the people who run that agency, the bias they have against conservatives to begin with.